Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. My name is Chief Shon Barnes, Shonbarnes. I have the distinct pleasure and privilege of being the Chief of Police for the Seattle Police Department. It is my honor to welcome you here today to our headquarters, and specifically to welcome you to our new real-time crime center. I'd like to introduce our Mayor Bruce Harrell, who will bring some comments about this piece of technology and the importance of it in working to create a safe Seattle.
Thank you, Chief. And I'll pass it back to you, Chief, after I say some opening remarks. Thank all of you for being here this morning. We want to take advantage of the opportunity to explain to you all and the city about what we think are the great advantages from a public safety standpoint to use this kind of technology. I want to first acknowledge that I have three outstanding council members standing behind me: Council President Sarah Nelson and Council Public Safety Chair Bob Kettle, and of course Councilmember Maritza Rivera, all very concerned about not only our effective use of the technology, but the safeguards we have in place to make sure we are protecting people's rights. This has been a very good year in 2025 in terms of the progress we've made relative to public safety. First, we have, I think, a national leader in this space through Chief Barnes, and I'm very proud that the City Council confirmed Chief Barnes after an exhaustive national search. He was unanimously confirmed. Police recruitment is breaking all records in recent memory. We've hired nearly 100 officers as of July 1st. That's almost 4 times the number of officers we were at this point last year in 2024. Crime is clearly down, with reported homicides down 41% compared to the first half of last year, and shootings down 29%, and violent crime down 12%. And while some may say that this is a national trend, that's a good thing, but we also have to recognize the outstanding work that the police department are doing. For example, year after year, retrieving nearly 2,000 guns. That's over 5 guns off the streets a day. So we have to recognize some of the arrests they've made. In June, the arrest in June, where over $3 million worth of illegal and illicit drugs were taking off the streets. 14 prolific drug traffickers are being charged with crimes. That's enough drugs to kill the Seattle 2 times over. So I want to recognize the outstanding work we're seeing. We recently filed, as you well know, the termination of the federal consent decree after over a decade of significant improvements to police policies, and more importantly than policies, how we are implementing these policies, our training and our accountability systems. So these are milestones that we should be very proud of as a city. The Real-Time Crime Center, again, is a tool in our tool bag that will continue these positive trends. In its first 2 months, the center has supported the investigation over 600 crime incidents and is currently supporting 90 active criminal investigations. When I first proposed our crime prevention technology pilot, I promised that it would be evidence-based, that we'd have the correct safeguards in place, and we're here to celebrate that the initial evidence and results of the Crime Center are overwhelmingly positive, and I think we'll show an example of that here in a few minutes. Now, this doesn't mean we will solve everything by this. This is not a panacea. But it does mean we are fulfilling our promise to use every tool available to improve public safety. And again, I can't say enough, we'll make sure everyone's rights are protected and the right constitutional safeguards are in place. Last, I'll say that public safety we view it as a team sport, that we work with communities, and I think many of you know we are in the streets now, so to speak, at the different community centers, talking to communities about what public safety means to them. We'll be hosting a public safety forum throughout the city over the next month and a half to share updates and hear and share with you the concerns we are hearing. The next forum is tonight, July 15th, at the Magnuson Community Center from 6 to 7:30, and next week it'll be at the Queen Anne Community Center on Monday. So I want to again applaud the Seattle Police Department and the different community representatives and organizations working with us to make sure that we're hearing from the community. So we are united with the goal of building a safe and thriving Seattle, and I'm excited to see how the Real-Time Crime Center can continue to support us in our efforts. And with that, Chief, I'll hand it back to you, Chief Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So the concept of the real-time crime centers is really not a new concept in policing, but it is one that have evolved over the years. Sometimes it's not great to be first, but it is great to be correct and to get it correct. And I think we have done that. A lot of work has been gone into this particular program, which predates me. A lot of thought has gone into it so that we can deliver some things to our community. The first thing is immediate incident detection. People want the police department. They expect the police department to be able to respond quickly, and they want the police department to be able to respond accurately. And we think that this is one tool to help us to do that. We believe, and I've always believed, the mayor believes in data-informed policing. Policing that is informed by good and accurate information so that we can provide the best possible service to an amazing community. Coordination with other law enforcement, and that is the people who are out there on the street, the men and women who are working while you're sleeping, the men and women of the Seattle Police Department who go into those dark spaces and sometimes go into calls like I did many, many years ago, not knowing the full picture of what I may encounter. This, I think, will reduce some of that, and you will see that in the example that we're going to see in a few minutes. And what I mean by that is being able to give more accurate information to those officers who are responding to calls that, quite frankly, may be life-threatening, to make sure that not only is our community safe, our officers, that we reduce the likelihood of having to use the use of deadly force. Crime prevention is one of my priorities. You've heard me talk about this again and again and again. I was in my staff meeting this morning talking about this very topic. This is where I stand on public safety. I stand on the side of crime prevention, not just responding to crime after it happens, but we want to ensure that we have less victims than we've had the year prior, as the mayor previously spoke about. And then lastly, support for investigations. We want to make sure that we can support our investigative function. We have a group of detectives who work extremely hard, and they need every piece of information that they can to return property to people who have lost it, to get justice for people who have been hurt, and to make sure that we can help do our part in making our community whole again. And I think that's something that we take a lot of pride and a lot of privilege in, and we need all the tools to do that. And this is one of those tools. So with that being said, Captain Britt, are you up next?
Yes, sir.
All right. Captain Britt up? All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So if we were to name the room, it would probably be the Captain J. Britt room. He hates that. But we have some very, very talented people here. Just give me a minute. I
Yes,
have
sir.
to do this. In the police department. And he is one of them. They don't teach you about technology and all these big words that he's going to mention in chief school. There is no chief school. But if there were, I would ask him to come and deliver a class there. But he is our subject matter expert. I'm so grateful, and I think the community should be grateful that he works for us. So thank you, Capt.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Captain Jim Britt with the Seattle Police Department. I've been with the department for 23 years, most of which was in patrol. And I'll tell you, in the 17 years I spent answering calls and supervising those answering calls, I very much wish this was here. The chief's very kind to mention the work that went into this, but I have to admit that I stood on the shoulders of people who came well before me. This room was built under, I believe, Chief O'Toole. Deputy Chief Barden did a great deal of work into this space, as well as Deputy Mayor Burgess and several folks throughout the organization, both here and across the street. So I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to help build out this unit. Chief Barnes spoke a great deal about what this room is capable of. We don't take that lightly. we understand that there are a great deal of concern when it comes to privacy, especially when it comes to privacy beyond the borders of Seattle and what we share and where we share. That's why one of the reasons the first thing we put on the wall in here was cribbing the quote. Didn't do an exact quote because you get into debates about who the quote really belongs to, but the concept is sound. Great power requires greater responsibility. The analysts we've been fortunate enough to hire in this room, who are dedicated individuals who have dedicated most of their lives to law enforcement as well, they're faced with that quote every single day. The understanding that the work, the trust that's been given to us with this technology can never be abused. We have to make sure we're doing it right. And when we do it wrong, we have to make steps to correct that. We have to catch it early. We have to make sure that we're making those steps to do it right every time. So the concept of wielding this power responsibly and ethically is constantly in our minds. Chief mentioned the concept of making sure that we're being more precise, which is why the tenets of precision policing are on the wall in the back of the room here. Those are respond quickly, investigate thoroughly, identify correctly, arrest safely, and prosecute successfully. We have the ability now to give a lot more information to responding units. When I was taking calls, when Chief was taking calls, the most we could hope for was a really good description over the radio. You're looking for a white female wearing a blue tuxedo and a top hat. That'd be a great description if I got that. But now we're able to actually provide officers with still images. If it occurred in view of one of our cameras, we can actually provide still images of the subject involved directly onto the screen of the responding units. So not just going after a description that they're picturing in their head, they can actually see the person they're looking to go in contact. Our goal is to make sure that instead of stopping 3 wrong people in the blue tuxedos, we're stopping the one right person we're looking for. So the precision policing model is a critical component, and that'll play here in just a moment when we show the video. Nobody wants to hear me talk too much, but I'm sure there's going to be time for questions later on. But I want to make sure we hand it over to Councilmember Kettle of the Public Safety Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Capt and Britt. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to thank Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I appreciate your leadership on this and your team, your senior team, but also Capt. Barnes for the work stepping up immediately. But my biggest thanks I really do want to give is to Capt. Britt and his team, the folks that are in the back. Working with Capt. Britt on the various pieces of legislation has been great, and it allows us to do things better. One of the things about the Real-Time Crime Center is that this is not happening in isolation. In the past year and a half, we've passed basically 20 bills. And these bills may be thought of as individuals, pieces of legislation, but they're not. They're part of a coherent strategy, a coherent plan, and the idea is to bring these pieces together to effect a better public safety posture. And the technology pieces of this are super important, whether it's automatic license plate readers, the CCTV, and here with the Real-Time Crime Center. Bringing these things together, this allows us to do policing better, as noted by Chief and Capt. Britt, using the precision policing model as an example. These are the things. This is the point that this Real-Time Crime Center is part of an overall package, a strategy that we're working with the executive, with the mayor and mayor's team, but also with the city attorney to effect a better public safety posture. And important to this, and this has been alluded to, and this has come up through the pieces of legislation related to like amendments, and actually even from the first bill that we did, incorporating right away out of the executive in terms of the technology pieces and the surveillance aspects of this. So these pieces are in there. But here's another point that's really important, is the fact that we have the best accountability system in the country. I've been doing interviews for the Office of Police Accountability, the director. There's no city that has what we have. Chicago has pieces of it, some other cities have pieces of it, but we have the best accountability system. And this accountability system will be supported and will be doing the things along with the council, along with the committee that Capt. Britt was just speaking to and the others. And this combination of bills, this combination of technology, but importantly, the combination of working together with the mayor and his team, with the city attorney and her team, and with the various pieces of the council, led by Council President, but also Councilmember Rivera, who's been working the issues in District 4 so hard, is to, at the end of the day, create a safe base in our city. And that's what we're doing. And again, I just want to thank everyone for their work in this, and specifically for the Real-Time Crime Center. I thank you because it's making a difference. Thank you.
We have a video we're going to show you here in just a moment that kind of highlights a great success story. But beforehand, I want to give you a quick tour of what's on the screen behind you. Robin, could you zoom into downtown Seattle so we can get a clearer image of what's going on here, please? Thank you, sir. So as you can see, this is a basic map of the city of Seattle. We've overlaid information, and the beauty of having, I'm sorry, I'm wandering away from my microphone. The beauty of having the information up here on a map is that we know where our people are, we know where the calls are, and we're able to provide information based upon the geographic nature of this. Maps and GIS capabilities become a critical component when we're trying to make sure that we're giving the best information possible. On the screen here, you'll see triangles of varying colors. That information is coming in off of the department's computer-aided dispatch system, which handles all the calls for service. When a person calls 911, the call center over at Seattle 911 creates a call, and it appears on this screen in real time. Then the analysts sitting here are monitoring the radio and the CAD as well, and the moment they become aware of a call for service, they're able to look and see what resources we can bring to bear to better support the response that's coming from the units in the field. For example, the green circles you'll see are our cameras. Robin, can you please pull up? There you go. He's going to show you an example of one of our cameras. The cameras we're installing are actually 5 cameras in each deployment. They're a 360 camera with a pan-tilt zoom camera mounted below them. So each camera actually gives us 5 feeds, 4 of which are static that face in all 4 directions, the last of which is a pan-tilt zoom that we can then move into where we need it to focus more appropriately on whatever investigations are needed. These cameras record for 5 days, which gives our investigators time to come to us and say, we had a robbery at this location, can you look and see if we have any video footage associated with it? Thank you, Robin. Can you go to the CCTV map? This is seattle.gov/CCTV for those that are concerned or questions about where our cameras are being deployed. We currently have cameras deployed on Aurora from 85th to 145th, the Chinatown International District here, and the downtown core. Most of our cameras are up. I think at last count, I believe, Michael, we were at about 50. About 50 of the authorized cameras are up. We're waiting on 57. Thank you, Nick. We're waiting on some equipment and some power to be run for some of our other camera installations. Back to Fusus map, please. So as we get more information, it populates this map and gives us additional information. We also have an integration that we won't bother to show because it's pretty mundane, but an integration to our records management system. So if we needed to know what reports had been written within an area within the last whatever period of time, we can pull up that information as well. Nick, can we pull up the video and make sure that the cameras are ready to go for this? For 2 left over there. So the video you're about to see is an incident that occurred at 100th and Aurora, June 13th. I want to give you just a quick snippet of what you're going to see. Various camera footage, most of which the first set is going to come from our camera installations installed at 100th and Aurora as part of this project. You'll also see body camera footage as well as footage from private cameras that were then retrieved after the incident as per our regular investigative process. And then you'll see some footage from some of our county partners as well. The incident involved is a pistol whipping followed by a shooting followed by an apprehension. Go ahead and hit play, Nick.
9901 Aurora Avenue North. And what's going on?
Just saw an altercation out front of my store where someone pistol whipped through the guy. There was obviously a gun in hand.
And when did this occur?
This is footage off of one of our fixed pan-tilt zoom cameras. Or fixed, excuse me, non-pan-tilt zoom. This is a fixed camera. We digital zoomed it to see a clearer image.
You saw that?
And is the suspect still there?
Last we saw, yes.
Okay. Anyone needing medical attention?
I have no idea.
Okay. Got it. Any shots fired that you're aware of?
I don't know, but he's going after the person again, so probably very
Still
soon.
fighting. Okay.
Yep. He's walking to the corner in front of the. Oh, yep. Shot fired. Shot fired.
Good shot. Okay.
Yep.
Anyone been hit that you know of?
I'm not going out there.
I'm not asking you. I'm just asking what you're seeing. If you didn't see it.
I am hearing shots fired.
So So at this point, our analyst jumps on a pan-tilt zoom camera to see if they can get better footage of what's going. At this point, our analyst gets on a pan-tilt zoom camera to see if they can get a better image of what's going on.
North Sector, priority assault 9901, Aurora Avenue North. A male just pistol whipped another male and shot off 2 to 3 shots. 9901, Aurora Avenue North, follow up on North. The suspect with a gun is a black male, 20 to 30, thin build, black hoodie, gold chains.
This is the voice of the 911 dispatcher.
On 100 Street.
RTCC to those units responding to Aurora. Looks like he's back out front of the store.
And that's our analyst broadcasting from this room.
The suspect is back out front of the store. Received.
RTCC is on a bicycle heading southbound.
Received on bike heading southbound. Received.
When you want to check out.
Received. The suspect with the gun is a black male, 20 to 30, thin build, black hoodie, gold chains. He was last seen.
RTCC just went westbound on 97.
This is here. We have the suspect running southbound from 97 to Shuffler Apartment 927. He went south just to the west of 927, 97. We lost sight of him. We are holding here. He might be popping out of 96 or he has him contained behind this building.
Jim 13, can you just lock out the start point and start setting up containment in that area?
97, 96 will be the start point. 97, 96, we need some units out of 95th for containment.
Sounds 3-2, I'm going to be watching the UAS now. Where'd you guys like me to check?
Their structures address 927, 921, and 917. They're directly to the west of the building that's the tall building, red and gray. And we're looking for anything around all three of these structures. Along the arborvitae edge just to the south of it too.
Copy, you said just west of that tall building, correct?
Paper.
Show me your hand! Show me your hand, please! Show me your hand!
So that's just one excellent example of what the different capabilities of this room can do. Please note that the last information we got from the 911 caller was that the suspect was westbound on 100th. The information that the suspect had come back out in front came from the RTCC reviewing the footage. Even if the person had called in and the person on the phone had said, we have the suspect in front, he's now southbound on a bicycle, the last information units would have had was that the suspect was southbound on Aurora on a bicycle. But because the RTCC was able to put information out immediately regarding the suspect back out in front, the suspect on a bicycle, the suspect now westbound on 97th, units were able to set up very swift containment. That call took about 2 hours. But the suspect is in custody. And so that's a huge win for us. It's one of many that we've been having throughout our work here, and we're very excited to share more of it as it comes forward. That's all I've got, Chief. I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Great. We turn the lights on?
Yeah, that is. I think it helps me out too. I also want to acknowledge Chief Operating Officer Brian Maxey, who's in the room with us. He did a lot of work on this from a policy standpoint, and I hope to maybe give a couple of questions to him if it comes up. So if there are any questions that me or my team can answer, we'll do that now.
So when, obviously, is this going to move to neighborhoods? I'm from West Seattle. When might we see that sort of deployment?
So the placement of our cameras owned by the department is going to be based upon crime trends. And so right now we're focused as a part of the pilot on the areas that were identified, the downtown core, the CID, and Aurora Avenue. We're looking to add a couple of new locations in coming legislation, which will include the Capitol Hill nightlife area, the area around the stadiums, and the area around Garfield High School. We're working with council right now to work on that legislation. The ability for the Real-Time Crime Center has also to pull in private video from businesses and other places that are willing to give their video. We're working on getting that rolled out, but we're not quite ready to go there just yet. We're also working as part of the legislation to be able to pull in other government-owned cameras, which would include DOT cameras and cameras from other city facilities around the area. So as those abilities come online, we'll be able to expand into more areas, which would include West Seattle.
This might be a question for Chief Barnes or the mayor. I've talked to a business owner who says that they have tried to be exempted from this camera surveillance. Is it possible for businesses to be exempt and not be filmed if they wish to?
So we have the ability to privacy mask any area that's constitutionally protected. Robin, can you pull up a good example of that? I believe we have a good one. One of the things that we're very conscious of, again, is privacy. And so sidewalks are open to the public. The fronts of businesses are open to the public, so those aren't necessarily constitutionally exempted, constitutionally protected areas. But we do have the ability to put privacy masking on areas that are, specifically the windows that go into residential areas. And so we're going to pull up one of those privacy masks right now. We wouldn't want to necessarily use the privacy mask. You can see up here, we can see the street that's open to the public, but we can't see the area that is protected. We would want to be cautious about using this for businesses that front onto a sidewalk, because the sidewalk is an area that we would want to make sure that we had good footage of, but we can work with businesses to see if that's something we can do. It's a little gray. It's a little difficult to parse on that line right there at the sidewalk to the business, especially when the business front itself isn't constitutionally protected.
I'm sorry, is this a live image or is this?
This is a live image, yes ma'am.
Thank you.
When we talk about privacy protections, is this video that the public could put in a public disclosure request for, or could
Yes.
government agencies? So it could be video that anybody could
Yes.
obtain.
It's subject to subject to the same laws as every other document or video that's created by the police department. Ma'am.
Yeah, we have a lot of news reporting about data exposure to, for example, the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. And so I have some technical questions about that. I don't know if you're the right person.
I'm going to give it a go.
Okay. What protocols are in place to prevent the data from the RTCC from either using federal data streams to circumvent local restrictions, or sharing those data streams to, again, circumvent those restrictions, for example, to help ICE find somebody that they want to detain?
Well, first off, that would be illegal. We're not allowed to do that. Secondly, we don't connect to any federal agencies with any of this data or equipment. We screen all requests from other law enforcement agencies, which includes federal law enforcement agencies, when it comes to the nature of their investigation. For example, if the U.S. Marshals are looking for a murder suspect from Idaho, we would need to help them. So we would need to provide that. But if they came and asked for information that would be restricted by either policy or state or city law, we would not provide that information. And we control where all of our data goes. We do not have open sharing, anybody can access it. We control who gets to look at what we give.
And do you have an internal or external red team that is tasked with identifying risk with the system in terms of civil liberties?
So we constantly are monitoring our team. In fact, we're just working right now on the processes we're going to put into place to do random audits of our analysts to make sure that they're following the policies that we set forth. The nice part about that is because we are new, we're learning as we go. So we may identify a point that we find as a weakness that we haven't found yet and say, okay, we need to shore up either our systems or our policies in that place. So we're working, we have essentially an internal red team that goes through and analyzes on random selections. The analysts work on a particular case to determine what they did it fall within the guidelines of policy and law? Is there a place where we can get better to make sure that that's covered? So we do that, yes ma'am.
And who has the authority to audit or review RTCC operations? I think the OIG was maybe going to be involved. Are you going to have any independent researchers be involved in that as well?
OIG has contracted with a PhD out of the University of Pennsylvania that is conducting the independent audit of the effectiveness of the RTCC and its policies. Okay. And I defer to Ms. Judge for the answers on that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And last question. I noticed that there was a drone from the King County Sheriff's Department that helped you on that video. Is it pretty common for you to borrow the drone usage from King County?
It's pretty common for the SWAT team to borrow the drone for deployments where you have a barricaded armed subject. We have a great relationship with our friends over at the Sheriff's Office and their TAC 30 unit. It's common for the SWAT team to do it. It's not common beyond that. It's pretty rare outside of that.
Thank you so much.
It was used in this case because we had an armed subject that we believe we had contained within a smaller space.
Okay. Now, one last question.
Can you talk a bit about the software? It looks like it's an Axon product and how it works. I know there's concerns about facial recognition. Like, how good is the software at identifying people or faces or clothing, or how does it work?
Sure. So the product is actually a product called Fusus, which is a company that was bought by Axon, actually in our process of evaluating their effectiveness. We've had a long-standing relationship with Axon for our body cams and our in-car videos, as well as our digital evidence storage. So when they bought Fusus, it was a great relationship to make sure that we could keep that building. We use zero facial recognition, and I'm going to say that again just to make sure that everybody's camera got that. We do not use any facial recognition. We don't use gait analysis. We don't use any biometrics. There is an AI overlay within the camera systems that allows us to look for blue shirts, black pants. So think the Boston Marathon bombing. They had thousands of hours of footage and they knew they were looking for backpacks and hats. They had to scroll through that footage by hand. This system has the ability to scroll through that footage based upon a date, time, and a geographic restriction and identify what you've asked for. So red shirt, black pants, it can identify those, and it does pretty well. It can also do vehicle makes and colors, so red Toyotas, and it does pretty well at that. Obviously, it's a growing technology, so they're still working on making it better. But it doesn't do any facial recognition, and it still has the human-in-the-loop requirement. It doesn't simply attach things to calls or send officers chasing after anything. It shows it to the analyst and says, based upon what you asked me to find, here's what I've found that meets that description, and then they go from there to determine if it has a nexus to the investigation.
Well,
I think he answered it already, so I'm good. Thank you.
That's what happens when you get... Sure.
Budget's coming up. This is a pretty expensive system. Are you going to be requesting an expansion into other areas or just more funding for this in the upcoming budget?
Well, then it goes to Tracy's question on West Seattle. So the short answer is we think this is good technology and there could be a push to expand it citywide. We're going to listen to communities. Part of the reason we're having the Community Safety Forum. I think everyone in this room understands we have some constraints on our budget. And so it becomes a question of priorities. So right now, and as was mentioned, we're looking at Garfield and the Nova schools and some areas where we're concerned about right now for sort of a pilot. But expanding it could be on the table. And again, I have at least 3 council members here that will have some discussions with that as well as they deliberate on the budget. So.
Do you have a metric for success that will help inform that decision?
Well, yes. I mean, in fact, it's actually a 2-year study from the University of Pennsylvania. And again, looking at our Inspector General Lisa Judge's office, who sort of audits everything that we do, they will develop the metrics and the desirable outcomes. And so I'm not going to spew it out right now. I'm going to let the academics do what they do and to see if this is a success or not. This is a good example of perhaps an apprehension that might not have been done as effectively and as efficiently without this technology. This is one example, by the way, and if we could show you multiple other examples since we've just been using this technology in the last couple of months, where you just saw outstanding police work. So I believe, and you may recall in 2010, from the City Council, I was the first person to propose body cameras. Now people take them for granted. I had to go on a speaking tour on body cameras and why I thought that was good technology. Now it's a national standard on what police departments are using. We think this real-time crime center is actually that kind of technology. We think it's a game changer. So we will measure it and hopefully expand it, always recognizing, again, I was the author of the privacy surveillance ordinance, recognizing people are concerned about their civil liberties, and so that'll always be on the forefront of our use of technology.
The investment so far the city's made in this, what's the investment so far?
Who wants to help me out on the actual investment on real-time crime center?
We can get you that question when we're done. We'll make sure that you get
Mayor or Chief, can you address what the city's going to do to deal with the Denny Blaine ruling yesterday from the abatement that they've given a 14-day window? Can either of you address that?
Sure, I'll take it a shot. So we read the court's ruling that I think just came out yesterday. There's still pending litigation. There could be an appeals process, so I have to be very cautious on what I say. But I will say that it also gives us perhaps an opportunity once again to work with the communities that are so concerned about that particular park. This includes the LGBTQ community as well as the neighboring facilities, and have discussions as the litigation occurs. So what we try to do is just make it clear through our law department, our position that we recognize the historical significance of that park. We also I've made it very clear that some of the unacceptable behavior, some of the lewd behaviors, there's no place for that at any park. So we think we have an opportunity again to keep the talks open with the different communities, and we'll see with the city attorney's office how they proceed.
Thank you so much.
Quick question though, there's nobody here now. What hours is this staff?
I'm sorry, ma'am, there are folks here. I have 2 analysts in the back that have been working this whole time.
Okay, good.
In fact, they've been monitoring the radio and assisting on calls while we've been talking. We're staffed with 2 analysts, 19 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think that was in the release that was sent out as well, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, everybody.